Hey folks, it's Melissa Ramos here, and I am so excited to be able to chat with you today. First and foremost, I am going to put my phone on just mute, which I would suggest that you do the same, only because I want you to have full focus for today's masterclass that I'm going to be doing, and it's going to be an incredible one, especially if you've been looking for answers and you've been frustrated for so long. I want you to make sure that you just take off all distractions, and that includes these things. These things are really addictive. And also just close off all the tabs that you have other than this one that you're listening to right now. As in a day and age today where there's just so many distractions, I want to make sure that there's the least amount possible. So if you are in a room where, there's the TV is on, whatever, just excuse yourself. If you've got little ones or, a partner, roommates, what have you, and just let them know, like, hey, listen, for the next hour or so, I just need to be left alone. And what I would suggest with you is make sure that you got a pen handy, even some paper, because we're going to go through quite a bit of content. And it's just going to be fantastic. And you're going to get quite a few tools today that I think is going to be really helpful for specifically you. So make sure that I've got your full attention as well. Also, I'd love to know where a bunch of y'all are listening in from. We are going to get started in a couple of minutes, but if you could let me know where you are from, that would be wonderful. Just type that in. Okay, so comments are already rolling in. Okay, so we have Kate, who is from Maryland, which is wonderful. Hi, Kate, how's it going? I've got Samantha here from New York. Hello, how's it going? Love New York. Helen from Idaho. Tamika, also from New York. New York is actually probably one of my favorite cities in the States. I mean, I've been through several different cities in the States, and New York is fantastic. It's definitely the city that never sleeps. Gwen, he is here from Portland. We've also got Mary here from Baltimore. Jessica from Vancouver. Also Stephanie from Minnesota. So we've got quite a few people from all over, and I just think that it's so fantastic, the wonders of the internet, that I could bring in all these people from all over the world, which I think is so amazing. We've got Sadie from London, England. Welcome. So as I was just saying, it's just so great that I can have people from all over the world. Wonderful, from Canada to, England. I've got Anna here from Florida. Amber is from Toronto. Also Serena from San Diego. Hey, Serena. Also, we've got Tamara from Arkansas, Southerner. Phoebe from San Francisco. Hey, Phoebe, how's it going? Emily from Vancouver, so West Coast Canada. And then the great thing, I've got Karen from the opposite side of the country in Quebec. So as you can see, we've got a wonderful house of women who have just filed in. Please let me know where you're from. It's just great for us to get acquainted. Just so you are aware, during the presentation, generally I don't take on too many questions during the presentation, and the reason why is because I want to honor and value everybody's time who's coming in, and we have an hour together. This is how long the masterclass is going to be. And I usually save all the Q&A till the end. Sometimes I answer a couple of questions, but I just try to keep the ball rolling because I want to be able to honor everyone's time. So just know that if you're asking questions, please be patient and know that you can just maybe write down your question on a piece of paper somewhere, and then I can answer it at the end. All right, so if you're ready, I think that it's great if we can just get this party started. Right now, we are pretty much on time to start, so let's do this. All right, guys, so here is how you're going to get empowered today. We're going to be talking about cramps, bloating, anger, and the blues. How to stop letting PMS, PMDD rule your world. I'm going to be going through natural remedies for PCOS, also known as polycystic ovarian syndrome, ovarian cysts, fibroids, fibrocystic breasts, endometriosis, and adenomyosis. How to control heavy bleeding and even gain some regularity with an out-of-whack cycle. I know a lot of women struggle with this, and this section is going to be for you. And yes, if you're trying to get pregnant, there is hope. Hot flashes, irregular periods, low libido, vaginal dryness, and hysterectomies. Solutions for perimenopause and menopause. I also want to be able to mention to you that in this section, if you are somebody who is going through premature menopause, as in you're taking Lupron because you've been induced into menopause artificially, this section is also going to be for you because I am going to be speaking to you as well. Fatigue, insomnia, and stubborn weight gain. How to get your power back from adrenal fatigue and thyroid issues. Here, I'm even going to be talking about Hashimoto's. Now, I don't know how many of you guys suffer from fatigue, but most of the women I work with really struggle with lethargy. I've already got the chat box lighting up with plenty of women saying that they struggle with being tired all the time. In fact, the majority of women that I work with struggle with an underbelly root of adrenal fatigue. That is a huge part of the hormonal picture. And the number one area that's often overlooked by women and practitioners. And this is the reason why I believe personally and professionally that a lot of women aren't getting better. All right, so who am I? And why am I qualified to be telling you this? My name is Melissa Ramos, nutritionist with a background in Chinese medicine. And I'm also the owner of Sexy Food Therapy, helping women feel sexy from the inside out by balancing their hormones and their digestion. But here's the thing. I certainly have gone through my struggle with hormonal issues. So it all began when I got my period when I was 13 years old, which isn't uncommon by any stretch. Like, this is not necessarily uncommon, but a bad thing or unhealthy to get your period at this time because a lot of women are getting their period much younger than 13. But within an hour, I was wearing a super absorbency plus tampon and overnight maxi. And I would soak through both within 1 hour. In fact, I'd set an alarm in the middle of the night so I didn't soil the sheets. My periods debilitated me, I had terrible anxiety, and I was in the closet about being depressed. By the time I was 26, I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, also known as PCOS. 4 years later, an ovarian cyst ruptured and it tore off a piece of my right ovary. As you can see here, I have a 6-inch incision vertically down my abdomen. And I was in hospital for about a week and a half, and I was going through months of recovery. I had an epidural for the pain. I had a blood transfusion. It was really, really challenging. I even was on morphine, Dilaudid, which is 7 times the potency of morphine, which is even banned in Europe. So I am not exactly a stranger to hormone issues. I was also diagnosed with fibroids 2 years later and found out by accident. And I say that I found out by accident because they didn't tell me after, doing the transvaginal ultrasound that I had a fibroid, actually 2, an intramural and a subserosal fibroid. I found out because I got a copy of my reports. And the day later, when I looked at my reports, there it was, 2 fibroids. So I always suggest people get a copy of your reports because if I didn't, I never would have known I had fibroids. Now, I am someone who is all over the media. And, I've been on, in the States on the doctors. I've also been a TEDx speaker as a poop whisperer herself. I've been on a national show here in Canada. And so I'm all over the media from the States to Canada. I'm an online entrepreneur, so I travel quite a bit. But this is something that I love to do. But the reality was I was overworked and the pressure began to mount, especially as work got busier and busier. And I eat healthy food, don't get me wrong, but I'd stress eat. And I gave to everybody except for myself. And I think a lot of you that are listening in can probably relate to just giving and giving and giving until your well runs dry. I tried eating less. I tried exercising harder, but my weight continued to climb. So I ended up gaining 25 pounds. And when you look at this image, please understand this. In no way, shape, or form am I saying that I was overweight or fat in this picture. But I think that all of us ladies can attest to just not feeling comfortable in our bodies. And for someone like myself who is constantly in front of camera, it was becoming really challenging and overwhelming for me. I felt like a fraud. My libido was non-existent. So, as a typical researcher, I researched and was determined to find an answer. I am the kind of gal who literally reads studies on a Friday night. It's my rockin' Friday night. Very much an introvert, so I researched and researched. You know what? I found it. So remember, 25 pounds heavier and climbing. 2 months later, 20 pounds lighter, muscle tone started to begin to develop, which I really struggled with previously. And 1 month later, I dropped those last 5 pounds and I got increased strength, energy, and muscle tone, as you can see here. And remember, I was telling you before about how my libido was non-existent? And I love my husband. I really, really do. But after implementing all these things that I had learned, it was like, hello, libido. I was finally happy to get that back. I got my life back, truthfully. So everything I learned about hormones is what I'm going to show you. So are you ready? If so, and I want you guys to write this down if you're ready, say hell yes, because let's do this. Oh, and before I dive in any further, know this. I'll be giving a bonus gift to everyone who stays until the end. So make sure you stay till the end because I got a fancy dancy system that lets me know who does and who doesn't stay till the end. So you want to make sure you stay till the end, okay, guys? All right, so let's start off with cramps, bloating, anger, and the blues. How to really stop letting PMS and PMDD rule your world. First and foremost, how you treat yourself prior to your period is an indicator for how bad your PMS and PMDD will be. Some of the biggest offenders are wine. Now, I know a lot of women are going to go, no, this is my crutch. This is my reward at the end of the day. And a lot of women will ask me, well, what do you consider excessive? And so I generally, rule of thumb is anything more than 4 servings per week is considered much, a little bit too much. So if you're drinking more than 4 servings of alcohol per week, this is something that you're going to want to avoid. I've got Carol here who says, uh-oh, that's me. So, and there's ways to get around this, which means that we just have to be able to identify what it is that's creating you to constantly turn to alcohol as your crutch. See, the thing is, premenstrual breast pain specifically is associated with the liver, according to Chinese medicine. Now, you might be like, what's the correlation here? Well, if you're drinking a lot of wine, especially binge drinking, which women are statistically shown to actually binge drink, and there's a rise in that happening, especially on the weekends, you're going to notice that your breast pain come your cycle is going to actually be more. Painful breasts will actually happen. Things like bread, rice, pasta, and sugary sweets, like alcohol, all break down to sugar. Okay, and that's something that you're really going to have to be aware of. And it's not to say, people will say to me, well, people used to eat bread and rice in the past. It's true, but not to the excess that we do today. So these foods actually break down into simple sugars, creating imbalanced blood sugar, leading to increased food cravings, particularly sugar. So if you're eating breads and pastas and rice and refined foods, etc., it's going to break down to sugar. It's not going to satiate you for long. And then your blood sugar is going to be all out of control, leading to higher stress levels. And then you're going to have more food cravings. And it creates this vicious cycle of eating and eating and eating, especially the emotional eating. Foods which break down into sugar really congest the liver, and it prevents it from removing estrogen from the body. So decrease your complex carbs, and when I say complex carbs, I'm specifically referring to the breads, the rice, the pastas, all those types of carbs, because not all carbs are bad, but I want you to decrease those complex carbs and increase your vegetable count, which are carbohydrates, to at least 50% of your plate or more. In fact, green foods specifically, green vegetables specifically, actually help to fuel your liver. And it doesn't mean just salads. There's things like zucchini that you can have. So don't just think salads, think beyond that, but really it helps to nourish the liver. The other major PMS and PMDD offender is coffee. I know you're sitting there probably crying going, but I really love my coffee and I'm just a 1-cupper a day. I hear women say this all the time. And trust me, I love my coffee too. My family is actually Brazilian, so I love the smell of it. I love the taste of it. I love the comfort. I get it. And watery green tea is just not going to do it. But the problem is, it's really going to make those cramps, breast pain, all your PMS and PMDD symptoms so much worse when it comes up. Believe it or not, coffee also robs the body of mood stabilizing, muscle relaxing nutrients, specifically magnesium, which would explain the cramps, the backache, and the grinding teeth, even clenching your jaw. If you're a jaw clencher, one of the things that I have noticed is if you actually take out coffee, and this is what I tell women in my hormone membership program, Sexy Lady Balls, and yes, I did say sexy lady balls referring to your ovaries, but I would tell them in the beginning when they first join, get off the coffee for 30 days. Get off the coffee for 30 days. I'm not asking you to do this for the rest of your life, just the 30 days. Give your body a break. And a lot of the times they're going to find that a lot of these symptoms are going to start to subside, okay? So that's one thing I would definitely suggest. Okay, so we have Phoebe here in the comments who just asked about decaf coffee, which is a really great question. I'm just going to go to the next slide really quickly because I'm going to show you this matcha smoothie, which is really a matcha latte, to be honest with you. But I'm going to answer Phoebe's question in the meantime. Her question is, what about decaf coffee? So decaf coffee still robs the body of magnesium. It actually still has a little bit of caffeine, so it is still a nervous system stimulant. And it, just like regular caffeinated coffee, it actually pulls a lot of your friendly, good digestive bacteria from your gut. And the less friendly digestive bacteria that you have in your gut, the higher your stress levels. So that happens with regular coffee or even decaf. This matcha latte, which is, I call it a smoothie, but it's like a hot smoothie, more like a latte. You can change it up as much as you want. So if you don't want the chocolate in there, you don't have to. If you are vegan or vegetarian, you can take out the gelatin. If you don't like stevia, you can add honey into here. If you don't like the spicy, don't add the cayenne to it. You can add hemp milk. I would just stay away from rice and soy milk. Rice is very high in sugar, and soy milk is also very allergenic for a lot of women. So I suggest to stay away from that. So take a picture of this. I love this because it gives me the creamy comfort that I really love from coffee. I can't just do like watery tea, like watery green tea. That to me doesn't feel comforting in the morning. I don't know about you. A lot of people will ask me about black coffee instead of, black tea versus coffee. And I just suggested them is just to stay away from it for the month. Matcha does have caffeine in it, but it also has an amino acid called L-theanine, which helps to put the brain in the same alpha waves as monks when they meditate. So it's very relaxing, even though you've got that little bit of caffeine in there to help you with the withdrawals from the coffee, but it also helps to relax you as well. So check out what Shonda had to say. She said, my cravings during that time of the month were out of control. After working with Melissa and changing my diet, adding key supplements, and really practicing self-care, my PMS was not only non-existent, but I also didn't find myself stress eating. While I may have been skeptical before, I am absolutely a believer that we don't have to suffer every month. I love this. All right, so be complex. Now that you've seen Shonda's testimonial, she was one of my sexy lady ballers, and I absolutely love seeing women who just feel that they are in control, back in control of their bodies. One of the things that I suggest to sexy lady ballers is one thing I'm going to give to you as a tip. So be complex. Thorne or AOR, these are brands that I have no affiliation with, but their formula have these B vitamins that are in their active methylated forms, meaning you can actually absorb them a lot better than, say, these really crappy versions that you might get at Costco for like a discounted price. So pay the little additional and get a proper B vitamin complex, I should say. PMS moods are generally from a deficiency in vitamin B6, which is a mood regulating vitamin. So definitely this is one of the reasons why B complexes work so well. Birth control, antibiotics, and antidepressants also rob the body of mood regulating vitamin B6. Women with low levels of vitamin B1 will struggle producing the neurotransmitter GABA, which actually helps to reduce anxiety. B vitamins will also help with liver detoxification. And as you've seen before, proper liver health with hormonal health is absolutely key. So you're going to want to take one capsule at breakfast and at lunch. Another supplement that I suggest to my sexy lady ballers, also known as ballers, is magnesium citrate. Again, I have no affiliation with this brand, but magnesium citrate works with our metabolic system to be easily assimilated. It positively influences anxiety and depression symptoms, along with nausea and constipation. In an earlier study that involved 192 women taking 400 milligrams of magnesium daily for PMS, 95% experienced less breast pain and had less weight gain. 89% suffered less nervous tension, and 43% had fewer headaches. The directions: I suggest taking one 200 milligram capsule at lunch and dinner to start. And I say that you can go up to that 400 milligram dose, but just start at one 200 milligram capsule just to ease your body into it. All right, so a diet in the Medical Nutrition from Mars, showed that women suffering from PMS followed diets that were 275% higher in refined sugar. They're eating lots of refined types of products. They were also 79% higher in dairy products. These women were drinking loads of dairy, yogurt, etc. 77% lower in magnesium, that muscle relaxing mineral. They were also consuming a diet that was 63% higher in refined carbohydrates. They were 53% lower in iron and 52% lower in zinc. Now, I say all this because I have noticed that from this and working with a lot of women that I do in my hormone membership program, that their diets really required to be redefined, to be changed up. But a lot of the times women come to me and go, I really don't know how to do this, or I'm not a good cook, or I hate being in the kitchen. I just, cooking isn't my thing. But what I feel is women need to get inspired. And it's the reason why Sexy Lady Balls offers one live cooking class each month. And I love to keep food simple. I'm a busy woman. I'm sure you're incredibly busy as well. But it's a matter of re-inspiring people to cook foods that not only they're going to love, that's simple and easy, but that their family will love. And I love converting family members, especially the kids. So each live cooking class per month, it ranges from, meals from being vegan to, vegan meals to paleo, from breakfast to dinner to desserts, holiday cooking. We really have something for everybody. So check out what Morgan had to say. You guys, I just started my period, and for the first time ever, there was no crazy PMS, breast swelling, tenderness, bloat, extreme hunger, etc., and no cramps. Also, it was light and what I would imagine a normal period should look like. So stoked. One of the things I love the most working with women in Sexy Lady Balls is when women say to me, I got my period, I seriously had no idea it was even coming because I didn't have these brutal PMS pains. So this is something that I know that Morgan really struggled with coming into the membership. The reality check: birth control. A lot of women that I work with are on birth control, and here are some of the adverse effects. It damages gut bacteria, which can then increase stress, weight, and reduces estrogen clearance. We really want to make sure that we're getting estrogen out of our system, that excess estrogen, because if we're not, what we'll end up seeing here is this buildup, and that's when we start to see a lot more pain. We end up with birth control. It reduces liver clearance due to estrogen buildup if taken over a long period of time. Synthetic estrogen reduces thyroid function, okay? Nutrient deficiencies created are zinc, B vitamins, magnesium, selenium, which really helps the thyroid, vitamin E, and C. So I'll see a lot of women who are struggling with the birth control pill, even when they get off of it and they start to say, I feel like I'm losing some hair, what's going on? And this is where I help direct them to let them know, like, here are some, blood work that you should get from your medical doctor. Because often you go to your medical doctor and they just take the standard blood work and you're really not getting the answers that you require. So I'm always there to support women that I work with, and we do have a resident nutritionist there who's also a homeopathic doctor in the program, and we're there to guide you as much as possible. So maybe you've got an IUD. I mean, that's okay, right? Well, a study involving 1.8 million women in Denmark showed that that hormone-releasing intrauterine devices are also associated with modest but increased risk of breast cancer. Didn't know that, right? Okay, so what about the copper IUD? This actually can lead to inflammation during the menstrual cycle, making cramping and blood flow worse for a lot of women. The other thing to understand is that you could develop a copper toxicity because copper and zinc actually play a balancing act. So if there is a copper toxicity, you can end up having a zinc deficiency in tandem with it. And those types of symptoms of deficiency of zinc include lowered immune response, so you're getting sick very often, anxiety, decreased stomach acid. Other things are like hair loss, PMS, extreme fatigue, and even sugar cravings. So what about natural and effective alternatives other than the condom or the birth control or IUDs? Was the reason why that I bring in experts into sexy lady balls like the Red 10 Sisters, and they actually provided some wonderful natural solutions that are highly effective versus using, birth control or these IUDs. And honestly, they're so effective, they're 98% effective. So this is the reason why I bring in experts every single month into sexy lady balls to help to inspire women to make better, healthier, natural choices for themselves. So what if you're using the pill to regulate your period? You wouldn't be the only woman. And I see a lot of women who do this because they use the pill to either get a period or to normalize their period. But the thing is, to help to transition off the pill, one of the things that I suggest is to address the deficiencies created first. And when you do, you actually can end up getting a period that isn't atrocious. So check out what Lisa had to say. She goes, "It's an SLB miracle. Today I got my period. This is the first time I've had a period naturally in about 10 years. Before now I was either on the pill or taking prescription medications to ovulate or menstruate. I've only been on transition from the pill protocol for 1 month and honestly not expected to have a period for at least a few months. But this one snuck up and surprised me. Didn't even notice any PMS prior. I am so happy to see all the efforts that are starting to pay off. Thank you, Melissa, for everything you do for us ballers. Your program really has changed my life for the better. And thank you to all my fellow ballers for the support and inspiration and kept me going through the tough days. I'm really so excited. I think I'm going to have a dance party with myself." So it is possible. All right. Another thing that we have added in is called the Cycle Mapping Start Guide. This is actually available to everyone, including those who aren't menstruating or are irregular. So if you are in menopause or if you just don't get your period for like 3 months, and then it comes, and then you don't get one for 6 months or 9 months, this is still actually applicable for you. So I absolutely love this start guide, and it's incredibly helpful to build a better connection with yourself. This guide will actually teach you how to be aware of each phase of your cycle so that you can be better in tune with your body and begin to experience less pain. Because the reality is, if you are somebody who is running like crazy and hustling like crazy and super busy 30 days out of the month, really, at the end of the day, ask yourself, is this working for me? Because chances are it's also manifesting in how your cycle is every month, believe it or not. Trust me on this because this is something I work very closely with women on. All right, so let's just change gears a bit here and talk about natural remedies for PCOS, ovarian cysts, fibroids, endometriosis, and adenomyosis. We're also going to be talking a little bit about fibrocystic breast here as well. There is hope for these conditions. These are all estrogen-related conditions that require subsequent progesterone support. Other symptoms include bad PMS, so alternating between the blues, where you're like, oh, I feel so fat, everything's horrible, to irritability and snapping. And if you guys ever feel that way, this is where people will look at us and go, oh, you guys are crazy. These are where these symptoms come up, right? How about heavy bleeding, breast tenderness, or fibrocystic breasts, which can be really alarming for a lot of women when they feel like, oh my God, I felt a lump in my breast. Is this breast cancer? So if you struggle with this, where you've got fibrocystic breasts, which are generally benign, this is something we're going to chat about as well. Headaches, especially before your period, and decreased libido. And I put Netflix here because there was a study once done that women were saying that they would rather watch Netflix marathons than actually have sex with their husband or their partner. So, yeah. Or how about junk in the trunk? Believe it or not, estrogen dominance, and I'm not talking about this is how your body's naturally shaped, but if you tend to gain weight on your bum, your hips, and your thighs, that generally is where estrogen tends to store. And in some cases of PCOS, we're not only seeing elevated levels of estrogen, but testosterone as well. So the vicious cycle begins with stress, high carb eating, right? You're eating loads of breads, pastas, all these types of carbohydrates, and this actually increases insulin, which is your fat storage hormone. This decreases a protein called sex hormone binding globulin. And the function of that really is to bind to estrogen and to bind to testosterone so that we can eliminate it out of the body. But the problem is because this protein has been decreased, that function has been decreased, and that leads to increased testosterone and increased estrogen. That produces symptoms of anovulation, which is when you're not ovulating regularly, hirsutism, which is the facial hair, infertility, and we begin to see things like insulin resistance. So the body keeps on pumping insulin, telling the body to store more fat. And then we start to see weight gain and abdominal obesity, and this vicious cycle continues. So this is what we start to see, especially with women who have insulin resistance, like in cases of polycystic ovarian syndrome. Some of the supplements that I suggest in Sexy Lady Balls, because I definitely want you to leave this masterclass feeling so empowered with some tools. So I'm going to share with you some of the tools that I suggest in Sexy Lady Balls so that maybe it can even help you. So inositol powder, which you might have heard of already, it actually helps to relax the nerves. It lowers excess estrogen and testosterone. It helps the liver metabolize fats as well. It also addresses estrogen-related anxiety. A lot of people don't realize, but a lot of estrogen in the system can actually promote anxiety. So directions, I suggest taking half a teaspoon at breakfast and dinner and slowly build up to 1 tablespoon. And I say to slowly build up because if you take inositol powder too much too soon, because it relaxes the nerves, it can relax some of the nerves that are attached to the gut, making you have loose poops, gas, which can be, I'm not lying, some of the most rankiest gas you will have. So just warning you, start slow. And some people can't even go to a full dose. And if that's you, that's okay. So you're going to be doing this with breakfast and dinner and slowly work up. Check out what Suha had to say. Skin clear and labs are normal. What PCOS? She says, I have something to share with y'all. I'm sitting in the parking lot at my endocrinologist's office with a huge grin on my face. Here's the thing. When I joined the group, I was taking metformin and spironolactone. I have PCOS. I was bloated. My skin was wonky. I was always tired. All the shitty symptoms of PCOS. I had it. I cut on my doses in half and slowly started to introduce the supplements to my body. I am now on the lowest dose of meds. I was curious about how my labs would look because I feel so good, but I was also scared he would know that I didn't take what was prescribed to me. Drum roll, please. He said my labs look normal. He said that if he didn't know I had PCOS and he looked at me in my labs, he would never know I had it. He was just so impressed with how I looked overall and complimented me on how clear my skin looked. Ladies, you are in the right place. I am a firm believer that it's not just taking the supplements like Melissa says, it's reducing stress. Drink more water, sleep more, laugh more, worry less, eat clean, exercise, and you will get better. I was you joining this group a few months back, and now even my husband can tell how good this has been for me. My sexy lady balls are happy. So if you're struggling with PCOS, trust me, there is hope, because one subset of women that I work with quite a lot are women with PCOS. These conditions have a correlation with a leaky gut. In fact, most hormonal conditions do. And researchers are now speculating that endometriosis and adenomyosis specifically may even be autoimmune diseases, which means more gut work is required. So one of the things I suggest for women across the board are probiotics, because inflammation begins in the gut. Probiotics can relieve that intestinal inflammation, and it reduces the permeability of a damaged gut lining. When you have a damaged gut lining, toxins and hormones can get in between those little holes that are created in a leaky gut. So probiotics helps to reduce that permeability. Directions: take 1 capsule at breakfast daily. Also, gargling. I know this sounds strange, but gargling helps to stimulate the vagus nerve that goes from our brain to our gut, and it puts us into this parasympathetic state, which I call the rest and digest state. This actually contributes to healing a leaky gut. So believe it or not, gargling helps to stimulate that vagus nerves, helping to heal a leaky gut. So gargle. In this little video here, that's me dancing, being all silly, but gargling with some salt water, because that's also a nice little disinfectant for your mouth and your throat. Okay. Liver support is absolutely crucial for all estrogen-related conditions. In fact, it's pretty crucial for all hormonal conditions. So bitters, really important. It helps to increase digestive fire and bile flow to carry out excess hormones and estrogens. It helps the liver metabolize fats. And this is also, as Melanie, I was just going to answer this, Melanie. She asked, is this okay if I've had my gallbladder removed? Yes. In fact, if you are one of the many people who've had their gallbladder removed, bitters is definitely a mandatory. So thank you for asking that question, Melanie. Also, it's not to be confused with Swedish bitters. And I say this because Swedish bitters has senna in it, and senna is actually a laxative that's habit forming. So do not take Swedish bitters. Directions, you want to take a half a teaspoon at breakfast and dinner, and also take it before lunch as well. Okay. Endopain gone, say what? Okay, check out what Kayla had to say. Another baller in Sexy Lady Ball. She says, you guys, my endopain is gone. For the first time, I'm not in pain. I can't believe it. Today, my period started, and for the first time, I felt nothing. It was amazing. It's a beautiful thing when you can love your period again. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Melissa, for your program. I joined 6 months ago, desperately needing to balance my hormones, having never tried anything before. With Mama B, which is what they call me, and Catherine's help, along with the support of this group and incredible women, I can proudly say I have. It's still only the beginning of a lifelong journey, but I'm so grateful that the suffering has ended. So if you've got endometriosis, I can tell you that that debilitating pain that you're going through every single month, it's not something that you have to live with. I promise you that. Out of whack periods are due to elevated levels of estrogen and low levels of progesterone. It's that disparity between the balance between the two. Studies, believe it or not, show that turmeric helps to raise progesterone levels and decrease inflammation. So I want to make sure you guys are getting lots of value from sitting here listening to my masterclass. So check out my Healing Anti-Inflammatory Golden Milk. So again, take a picture of this and get this down. And there's ways that you can, revise this if you want. Again, you can use honey if instead of liquid stevia, or coconut sugar as well. If you want, you can use hemp milk versus nut milks as well. So take a look at this and get this down so that we can move on. All right. I'm going to move on just to make sure that we just stay on track. Liquid iodine, not to be taken internally per se. This is actually for fibrocystic breasts. What I suggest is add on 1 dropper's worth of this liquid iodine and massage it topically into the breasts. So, believe it or not, the breast and the thyroid gland are supposed to be the most abundant in iodine. So this is wonderful, a really wonderful way to get that iodine into the body via the breast tissue. And truthfully, if you do have dense breasts, or even if you don't have dense breasts, you should be taking the opportunity to massage your breast to increase circulation. This helps a lot, especially if you've got those fibrocystic breasts. But what about increasing the chances of conception? Okay, so first and foremost, infertility is a symptom, not the cause. So when women go, what supplement can I take for my infertility? I'm like, well, it depends on what's creating the infertility. And that's what has to be addressed. So is it impossible? No, of course, it's totally possible. Check out what Carolina had to say. Lovely ladies, I wanted to share with you the amazing news that I am pregnant. My husband and I have been trying to conceive a baby for over 2 years. I still can't believe it. I was diagnosed with PCOS, but followed Melissa's instructions to the T. So it's 100% possible, but to address the root cause is absolutely mandatory. In Sexy Lady Balls, what I love about this membership is that women receive a base supplement protocol with add-on supplements that they can include based on their symptoms. So you really get this amazing opportunity to customize what it is that you're taking. But what I also suggest to people is this option to upgrade. And you guys can have that option to upgrade even this evening if you'd like, with these full hormone panels that are also available as an upgrade. And I actually ship them worldwide. I've shipped them as far as Australia, Dubai, Ireland. So they are worldwide shipping. And I love this because, I don't know about you, but for me, trying to understand my hormones and trying to get my doctor to help me with them was definitely a struggle. So with the hormone panels that are actually done via urine, they test for all estrogens and their metabolites. Now, blood alone, when you go to the medical doctor, because people always say, can't I just get this done with my medical doctor? You can get a blood work done for sure, but the blood doesn't actually test the estrogen metabolites, which is really important because those metabolites, you want to be able to understand, are some of the metabolites low? Because some estrogen metabolites are actually cardiac protective. Then there are some estrogen metabolites that are, when in excess, carcinogenic. And that helps me understand how to actually help you treat it. Progesterone, it tells me about your progesterone. It also tells me about all your male hormones, testosterone, DHEA, and their metabolites. It also tells me about the cortisol levels throughout the day, which truthfully, I love because this urine test that we do you pee on these 5 test strips. Now, it gives me a good reading throughout the day versus blood would only give me from that one time and that's it. That's not really enough for me to understand or you to understand what's going on. So this is the most comprehensive test that there is out there to test your hormones. I can guarantee you that. And cortisol levels, if your cortisol levels are high in the morning and low midday, that gives me an understanding which herbs to give you in the morning and what different herbs to give you midday. Versus blood would never even tell me that. Melatonin also, and believe it or not, it tests melatonin, and a lot of people think of it as a sleep hormone, but did you know that melatonin deficiency and endometrial cancer, that there's a link between the two? Which I think is incredible. And they're always adding in new measurements for these hormone panels. Now we're seeing a measurement for serotonin levels, for dopamine. These are all these neurotransmitters in your brain to show if there's a deficiency, especially if you suffer from anxiety or depression. We're gonna be able to understand what it is that how we need to be able to treat this. And with the hormone panel that is provided, this option to upgrade, you don't just get the test. You get a consult with me and you get a supplement protocol on top of it. So that whole package is that option to upgrade. That's really, really powerful. And I suggest every woman to get one at least once in their life. So this to me is like just the cream of the crop when it comes to hormone testing. So let's switch gears to hot flashes, irregular periods, low libido, vaginal dryness, and hysterectomies. Solutions for perimenopause and menopause. After the age of 35, your essence in Chinese medicine begins to decline. In Western medicine, we see this as a decline of progesterone. The symptoms include thinning hair, big time, an increased stubborn weight gain. All of a sudden, you got these 10 pounds that you just can't seem to shake off. Welcome to perimenopause. And did you know that 1 in 3 women in the United States will actually reach the age of 65 without a uterus? 1 in 3. That is absolutely crazy. And just a side note, 70% of women by the age of 50 will also develop one fibroid, which generally ends up happening around this time of perimenopause as well. The reality is that perimenopause is all about hormonal surges. You still have just enough estrogen to make a thin lining in your uterus, but your breasts soon become lumpier and your mind less agile. So if it ain't written down, all of a sudden you forget everything. This also could be that you're having a decrease in estrogen. Now you might be like, but Melissa, I've got fibroids. That means I have estrogen dominance. Well, yes, but you have 3 estrogens. So remember, some of them are protective and some of them you don't want in excess. The same thing with those metabolites, remember? Without estrogen, some of the protective estrogen, we can't control our body temperature. So the hot flashes begin to come on, sleep becomes an issue, and we have no protection for our heart. Believe it or not, testosterone levels begin to fall during this time significantly in menopause, and so does our bone mass. Testosterone helps you to make bone. When estrogen is surging higher with no progesterone as its anchor, this turns on a powerful cellular growth controller called epidermal growth factor. And this, believe it or not, is a major player in breast cancer. So your chances of breast cancer actually increase as you get older. And adrenal support is a commonly overlooked area across the board for all women, but especially during this time, because the more chronic stress you have, believe it or not, the faster you're going to get into this perimenopausal and then menopausal state. So be very careful. So adrenal support is key. And here, again, are some tools that I suggest for women in sexy lady balls. Ashwagandha is an adrenal support that I love, but because adrenal support varies dramatically. But this is perfect in this phase because it helps to increase testosterone levels. It reduces cortisol as well, so I tend to suggest it during this phase. It helps to actually reduce blood sugar levels, especially if yours is all out of whack. So if you're taking the tincture, you would take half a teaspoon, or if you're taking the capsules, take 2 caps in between lunch and dinner away from food because it has a slight sedative effect. A study in fertility and sterility showed that 750 milligrams of vitamin C taken over 6 months increased progesterone levels, okay, which is amazing. But vitamin C is also the most, the stress-busting vitamin that you can have. And it's supposed to be the most abundant in the adrenals. However, 80% of vitamin C is eliminated through bowel movements, so take liposomal vitamin C instead. 1 sachet equals 1,000 milligrams. In fact, the absorption is almost equivalent to the Myers cocktail, which is the IV that you would get that has the vitamin C in it. And if you ask where I can get this or where you can get this, you can easily get this brand on Amazon. Again, I have no affiliation to this brand, but just showing you an example, okay? Hot flashes, big one. Okay, so sage is a powerful phytoestrogen that addresses hot flashes that are due to low levels of estrogen. It's also safe for hot flashes if you have been put into menopause artificially with Lupron, okay? So you can take sage if you are taking Lupron. Directions: take half a teaspoon first thing in the morning away from food. Okay, so really, really wonderful option if you're having hot flashes. Check out what Laura Lynn had to say. Before seeing Melissa, I was walking out of meetings because my hot flashes were running my life. I had 10 pounds of added weight and I just didn't recognize myself anymore. Plus, she worked with my vegetarian lifestyle and helped me get back my life, and now I'm actually excited about this next phase of my life. How many women actually can say that? All right, what about vaginal dryness? This is a huge one. So here's some relief. It actually can be due to lower levels of estrogen because estrogen, that good estrogen, because remember you have 3 different ones and then they have metabolites, help to lubricate the vagina. But you gotta rule out some of these root causes like, believe it or not, antihistamines. If you are somebody who takes antihistamines frequently, they are the number 1 side effect is vaginal dryness. It really dries things up. Other things are Ativan, Xanax, or even smoking or excess coffee or alcohol can be contributors. Birth control or Depo-Provera. So the directions that you can do is you can take a vitamin E suppository. Again, you can get it on Amazon easily, or a 400 IU of vitamin E gel cap inserted vaginally. One or the other is totally fine. All right? How about fatigue, insomnia, and stubborn weight gain? How to get your power back from adrenal fatigue and thyroid issues. So the one thing I suggest is a Himalayan salt brine. You can get these chunks, again, online. You would add 2 chunks to a large mason jar of water. Let sit overnight to make the salt brine. The next day, you can add between a half a teaspoon or a teaspoon to an 8-ounce glass of water. Now, you might be like, really? Salt in your water? Yes, because salt has so many minerals that actually nourish the adrenals. And if you are somebody that doesn't drink water that often because you're like, I gotta pee all the time, believe it or not, this actually helps to create better hydration, more efficient hydration. So you're actually not peeing as often as you would if you didn't use it. So just a side note. If you've got any thyroid issues and you are deficient in iodine, I would suggest just using Celtic sea salts. You can just get the granules and just put a pinch every time you drink water. That's sometimes what I do if I don't have my brine that is made. Celtic sea salt has some more iodine in it versus Himalayan sea salt. The iodine content is quite low. Did you actually know that 90 to 95% of people who've got hypothyroidism actually suffer from Hashimoto's and don't even know? Unbelievable, but it's absolutely true. And one of the things that really help with people who've got Hashimoto's and thyroid issues is a supplement called benfotiamine, and it's vitamin B1. It's a specific form of vitamin B1. This helps greatly with fatigue, but you got to take about 600 milligrams with food once daily can really help with that fatigue. So you'd get this benfotiamine supplement on its own, not in the B complex formula, but really, really helps, especially if you've got thyroid issues and that massive fatigue. It's a huge saving grace for a lot of people. It's important to note that all autoimmune conditions originate from a leaky gut, all of them. So if you've got Hashimoto's and you're sitting there, treating the thyroid, it's a symptom. Hashimoto's is just a symptom. Stop fooling yourself. The things that I look at with Hashimoto's is your adrenals. I look at your lifestyle, because you can take all the supplements you want, but like your adrenals, what's your lifestyle? Are you sleeping enough? How's your, all that stuff matters. But I also look at the gut, because you sure as heck didn't get that Hashimoto's without having a leaky gut. I can guarantee you that. But what's the number one area that's most often overlooked by women and practitioners when it comes to hormonal healing? Addressing a change in mindset. And I know you're probably sitting there going, oh my God, please. Really? But I've actually never seen one case that actually worked when mindset wasn't addressed. Otherwise, how do you expect to stay on the bandwagon and stop self-sabotaging yourself? How many of you guys here self-sabotage yourself? I've got Samantha that says, I do, with lots of exclamation marks. You're not alone. This happens all the time. I see it all the time in practice. Not convinced? Well, a study coming out of Ohio State University showed that participants who reported one or more stressors during the past day burned 104 fewer calories than non-stressed women over the course of the day. The stressed women also had higher levels of insulin and lower rates of burning fat, suggesting that they were storing more fat. So, a lot of stress, you gotta change the mindset. It isn't just about supplements, trust me. I mean, let's face it, do you really crave a salad when you're stressed? You don't. You're not like, I'm so stressed, I need to eat a salad. That's not happening. The first step to taking your power back is to understand where you're giving it away and then be accountable, okay? That is absolutely crucial. Then set boundaries to allow more space and ask for help. But I can guarantee many of y'all are not setting boundaries, and many of y'all have a problem asking for help. Am I right? You see, happiness is a byproduct of certain behaviors. It's a learned skill that requires the right tools to establish mindfulness, perspective, and continual practice. It's why I feel that women are still struggling with their hormonal issues when they're on a truckload of supplements, like a supplement graveyard we're talking, because their mindset and lifestyle factors haven't been addressed. Guaranteed, I see it all the time. And women never actually put very much value into this. And when they start to actually work with me, they're like, holy cow. I didn't realize how badly I needed this, that my mindset really needed to change, and what a difference it's actually made. Because you see, chronically elevated stress hormones can compete, like Pac-Man, with your sex hormones, namely progesterone. So lots of cortisol, your stress hormone, munches on your progesterone, which helps to nourish you. And if you don't have enough progesterone, you get the progesterone blues. You don't have enough progesterone, estrogen doesn't have an anchor. Increased rates of cancer. You're snapping, and then you're crying, and you just feel like you're out of control. True mindset work is about harnessing the right tools so we can implement the practice of embodiment. It's not just about posting quotes on Facebook or Instagram. It's about embodying it. By being vulnerable and holding ourselves accountable for our own bullshit story, we can move past our victim state mentality, which we've all been in, myself included, and lead more fulfilling lives with deeper relationships. Remember, what you focus on expands. So what are you choosing to focus on? All right. So how are you feeling? I know that this has been a lot of info that I've put at you. So how are you feeling? Give it to me in one word, guys. Let me know how you're feeling. I've got Wanda says, excited. That's amazing. I love hearing that, Wanda. Thank you so much. I've got Tina who says overwhelmed. Totally normal. I get it if you're feeling overwhelmed. Phoebe writes here that she is inspired. I love that. Okay, so if you guys are ready, I want to know if you guys are ready to kick some hormonal butt. Are you ready? Let me hear some excitement, some thrill from you guys, because at the end of the day, I know you guys are tired. You've been here. I'm going to give you guys that free gift. We're almost there, but I need to hear some excitement so that we can kind of get you guys back jazzed up. Okay, we've got hell yes. The chat box is just lighting up with yes, Hell yes. Okay, awesome. I'm ready. Okay, cool. Let's do this. Welcome to Sexy Lady Balls. I can't wait to share with you what the best online hormone membership program is like on the net. This is the place that if you've been struggling, I absolutely promise you, you're going to start to get some answers and finally feel like you are going somewhere and doing one of the best things you can for yourself. So let's get started. If you join today, here is what you're going to receive. And there will be specials only for you because you came, you showed up, you've been here throughout the entire time. So if you join Sexy Lady Balls, you'll receive one topic-specific coaching call once a month. We cover a variety of different of topics, I should say. Things like improving your fertility, getting rid of hormonal weight gain, thyroid issues, including Hashimoto's, overcoming insulin resistance and PCOS, perimenopause and menopause, diving deep into treatment plans. Also things like natural and safe alternatives to the birth control pill, tackling endometriosis, adenomyosis, fibroids, and so much more. And replays are always made available for those who can't attend. This alone is a $197 value. I also provide 4 monthly 1-hour Q&A coaching calls to answer all of your questions that may come up and provide additional resources. I do 4 of these a month. That alone is an $800 value. I also go through, which I love this, is a 1 hormone test results of the month coaching call. I know that's a mouthful, but essentially what I do is I go through hormone test results of the month. I get permission from the person, obviously, and I go through that result. So then that way you're able to understand a little bit more about the hormone testing that we do and why it's by far the most comprehensive that there is in the industry and how it differs from a blood test from your medical doctor. This helps to give you an understanding of the whole picture and factors that may contribute to depression, anxiety, thyroid issues, and even causative factors behind various cancers. Replays are always made available for all of our coaching calls if you can't attend. But this alone is a $197 value. Ballers love this coaching call because it's so darn informative. And that's really what I want to do is educate you so you understand and feel more empowered in your own health. And it actually helps you to heal when you are more empowered. Also, that cycle mapping start guide that I mentioned to you is available to everyone, including those who aren't menstruating or are irregular. And I say this because the moon and tracking your menstrual cycle, even if you don't have a menstrual cycle, there are ways that you can track it, but there's so much correlations between the moon and our bodies. I actually did my thesis when I studied Chinese medicine on the correlations of the moon and menstruation, and there definitely is a connection there. So this cycle mapping start guide is absolutely phenomenal. And the value of this is a $47 value. So the entire protocol that I'm giving you here, it's got the shopping list, the therapy protocol, the customized meal plan, and it does include, of course, food. And I love yummy, easy to make food because I ain't got very much time. I don't know about you, but I don't got very much time, so it has to be simple. But these chocolate matcha balls are so darn good. They're so good and they're great to snack on. We've got this amazing chicken recipe with lemon and peppers. So tasty, so savory and yummy. We've also got this green bean vegetarian casserole. And yes, there are recipes for meat eaters, vegetarians, and vegans alike. Plus, receive bonus recipes weekly in your Sexy Lady Balls Digest email. And loads of updates. You get a bonus recipe every single week, like this one, which is my grain-free cereal. You can also tackle those hormonal issues with my base supplement protocol, plus add-on supplements to customize your plan based on your symptoms, which is why I love our supplement protocol, because there's a base one that really helps to clean things up, but also you have the opportunity to customize your own protocol. So that entire protocol is a good $427 value that I have specifically put in there for you with a shopping list, food guidelines, etc., recipes, supplement protocol, amazing value. And I want you to get inspired with 2 cooking video tutorials that takes you through some of the recipes in your Sexy Lady Balls recipe book. And believe it, yes, even a bread recipe. Even a bread recipe. You heard it right. If you love bread, this is something you can eat and not feel guilty for. That alone is a $97 value. But of course, I've introduced a live cooking class once a month, and I end up sending people the recipe list, the ingredient list, I should say, so that they can actually cook along with me. And it's so much fun because women are cooking along with me. They're snapping photos, they're putting it on Instagram or Facebook, and it's amazing because women who said to me in the beginning, like, I just suck at cooking, I don't like cooking, start to actually get inspired to cook, and they start to get excited. If you tell yourself you can't cook, you won't be able to cook. That is completely a mindset thing. But you have to learn how to nourish yourself, and this is an exciting way to do so. You can also participate in monthly challenges led by yours truly with additional coaching calls as well. I always over-deliver, always. And as a baller, you can be awarded prizes worth up to $100. That alone is a $297 value. Truthfully, it's probably a lot more because the amount of coaching calls I do in the group, it's not there to overwhelm you. If you miss one, that's totally okay. It's just about trying to support you, to motivate you, to inspire you, and that's why it's there. I also have recommended fitness resources so you can move and shake your body to a healthier, hotter version of you. We've also got those amazing expert coaching calls from everyone from Elizabeth D'Alto, the Red 10 Sisters, Alexi Panos and Preston Smiles, Kate O'Brien, Dr. Andrew Campitelli, who's a naturopathic doctor, Amy Jo Goddard. So amazing value of experts that come in once a month. We have all those saved so that you can watch them later. We even had a midwife. We had just so many different experts that I think you will absolutely adore. And you just cherry pick the ones that pertain to you. Also, de-stress with 3 of my Yoga Nidra recordings. This is where you lay down, you listen to a recording, and this has actually been proven to be more relaxing than sleep itself. So if you are a woman who is in postnatal and you just aren't sleeping very well because you got a new baby, I'm telling you, Yoga Nidra is amazing. We work with women from whether they are pregnant, whether they're in postnatal, if they're trying to get pregnant. Honestly, I work with women on all different stages, but this is a godsend. I absolutely love Yoga Nidra. This alone is a $197 value because they're just incredible recordings. You get access to the Sexy Lady Balls private Facebook group to receive support and motivation from a tribe of ballers. You get access to myself, who will hold you accountable, and meet our resident nutritionist so she can actually give you additional advice. Our expert resident nutritionist who helps me along the way is absolutely incredible, and we tag team to help you out. And be matched with your very own accountability partner. Believe it or not, friendships have been formed in Sexy Lady Balls, like long-lasting best friendships that has just... It's touched my heart. It's been absolutely amazing. So the value of that, can we say priceless? All right, so how much? Because I've been telling you about value all day, but how much is this really going to be for you? So let's recap what you get. Weekly Q&A coaching calls, monthly topic-specific coaching calls. You also get monthly hormone test of the month coaching calls. You get live expert interviews with replays provided for all the coaching calls, and that happens monthly as well. You also end up getting a cycle mapping start guide. You get the supplement and food plan. You get recipe book filled with over 100 recipes. You get the weekly Sexy Lady Balls digest filled with bonus recipes. You get a shopping list to make shopping a breeze. You get an accountability partner matchup. You have fitness recommendations provided, 2 cooking video tutorials. You have monthly live cooking classes and monthly challenges with additional coaching and monthly prizes valued at up to $100. And of course, those Yoga Nidra recordings. The total value for this is pretty much almost $3,000. Okay? The total value. And I'm telling you, it's worth every single penny. But I'm not even going to charge you $800. I'm not even going to charge you $700. I'm not going to charge you $600 or $500 or even $400 at all. I know that you've sat here this entire time, and I really want to make sure that this is something that is going to work for you, that is going to be able to be accessible. So you can receive the Sexy Lady Balls membership for $57 per month, with a 3-month minimum commitment required. And the reason why I say 3-month minimum commitment is because of the fact if you think you can fix your hormones in a month, you're kidding yourself. Even a couple of months, you're kidding yourself. It didn't take you a day to get here, ladies. It's not going to take you a day to get out of it. And no one out there will be able to promise you that. So I always say, just give me 3 months so that you can start to really see how this is going to work for you. And I need your dedication and your commitment as well. But wait, I'm going to throw in a bonus worth $400 for free if you join today. So 4 of my weightless mindset coaching call recordings, because you guys know I'm huge on coaching calls. We have one coaching call that talks about how to let go and get over it. We've got another one about overcoming addictions and their associations to weight gain. Staying on the bandwagon and getting empowered for sustainable weight loss is the 3rd coaching call. And the 4th one is about improving relationships and losing the emotional and physical weight. These are gold. And the value of this is $400, but it's going to be for free only when you buy Sexy Lady Balls today. So $3,000 value for the membership. $400 bonus. That's a $3,400 total value that you're getting today to get empowered only for $57 a month. I think that that is by far an incredible deal. So what are you waiting for? You've got questions? Well, I've got answers. Hey, all right. So let's get to your questions, shall we? Okay, so before I dive into some questions, I want to just let you know that I'm going to right now put on a 15-minute timer where you can get that offer for Sexy Lady Balls at $57 a month. And you can also get that bonus for the mindset coaching calls valued at $400. That's a $3,400 value for $57 a month, which is pretty amazing. So, okay, I'm putting the timer on right now. It is on. So you got 15 minutes to get on that. All right, so I'm going to start answering some questions, and when I am done, and the 15 minutes are pretty much done, I'm going to tell you all about that gift that everyone is going to get. So we're almost there, so hang tight. Okay, first question is from Carol. She says, if I'm taking inositol, but from a different brand, do I need to switch? This is a great question. So if you saw, for example, you're taking a B complex, you're taking inositol, but you're taking it from a different brand, just finish off what you got. And then when you're done, switch to what I suggested. Again, I don't have any affiliation to any of the brands that I mentioned in this presentation, in this masterclass. They're just ones that I've worked with in practice and that they work really well. So just finish off what you got and then switch. Okay, so Phoebe asks, what if I get pregnant while doing Sexy Lady Balls? Will you be able to help me with my next steps? Phoebe, this is a great question. And truthfully, a lot of women have gotten pregnant in Sexy Lady Balls. And I've seen women who have endo, PCOS. We have so many women who come into the program who are trying to conceive. And when they actually have, when they found out that, oh my God, I'm pregnant. The one thing that I love about Sexy Lady Balls is that the support is there. So I'll be like, okay, I want you to stop taking, this supplement, and now I want you to introduce this, and this. So yes, absolutely, I'm there to be able to support you and let you know what you should be transitioning out of and then what you actually can add in. And the other great thing is, as I've mentioned previously, is that we have a resident nutritionist in the private group, which is fantastic because if I'm not there to be able to answer your question fast enough, then she's also there answering questions, and boy, is she whip smart. So I really, really love that about the program, is the incredible amount of support that you will receive. Okay, guys, let's see here. Letitia asks, is your plan safe for women who are breastfeeding? This is a great question. So yes, it is, and we actually do we're very careful in terms of being specific on what supplements that you should be, that you are safe to consume while breastfeeding, and what supplements you should not be consuming while you're breastfeeding. So we're very careful about that. And obviously, if you have any questions, then you just direct them to me and I can help you with that. Okay, guys, a couple of minutes have definitely passed on the clock already, so time is ticking. I am going to answer several more questions here because we have quite a few of them. So I want to make sure that I get in your questions here. So Samantha has a great question also about breastfeeding, but she says, can I do the hormone test while I'm breastfeeding? Great question. So while you have heard me say about the hormone test and how much I love it and how I believe that it is really the cream of the crop in the industry for hormone testing, you should not be doing it while you're pregnant or while you're breastfeeding. And the reason why is because your hormones are still up and down, so you're not really going to get the best measurement for your hormones during that time. So I would suggest do not take it while you are pregnant or you're breastfeeding. It just doesn't make sense. I do believe that every woman once in their life should do the hormone test. And the reason why is because I truthfully believe in test, don't guess. The amount of times that I have seen someone's supplement, or not supplement protocol, but their hormone test results, and I look at it and go, holy cow, I never would have guessed from symptoms alone that this woman actually has, let's just say, low testosterone. I never would have guessed it. And a lot of the times that happens with hormone testing is certain things come up that really end up surprising me. And likely will surprise you. I had one woman who said, I've got low estrogen. How's that possible? I have fibroids. And I'm like, well, remember, you got 3 estrogens. So one of them can be really low. And your metabolite, one of your metabolites can be really high. That could be what's actually creating that fibroid to grow. So the protocol at that point is going to be very different, you see? And that's the reason why that I love that upgraded package, which is the option to upgrade. You don't have to do it because the base protocol onto its own is really effective, okay, guys? But if you're in it to really fine tune it, if you've gone through so many different practitioners, if you've tried everything under the sun, and you're so frustrated and you just want answers and you're like, I just want to stop, spending gobs of money trying to just, figure it out and guess what I'm supposed to be doing. If you're in that sort of place right now, then I would suggest the hormone test because you get such concrete advice or answers on exactly what it is that's going on. And I love the package because I mail out the hormone test kit no matter where you live in the world. So number 1, which is amazing. And you do the hormone test kit. And just to give you an idea of the process and how that works, you would do the test kit when you receive it at a specific time in your cycle. All the instructions are in the kit when you receive it. So you do the test, and once you do, you ship it off with a prepaid form. That goes off. It takes roughly a week for the lab to receive it, and then it takes an additional 3 weeks for the lab to, process it, and then afterwards complete your results. Once it does, it notifies us, and then we automatically book you in for a session. So everything is pretty much automated. There's nothing you have to do other than you get it, you send it in, and if you're menopausal, for example, and you're not menstruating at all, should you do the hormone test? Yeah. And if you're irregular and you haven't gotten a period in 6 months, 9 months, 1 month, it's 3 months, when do you take the hormone test? At any time. So it is still applicable for people who aren't menstruating or whose menstruation is completely irregular. In fact, it's imperative if you are having periods, but it's all over the map because you've got PCOS, for example, it's 1,000% important to definitely do the hormone test. And you would do it at any time, and then, we book you in for a consult. And I just love it because you do the hormone test, you've got the consult, and then you've got a supplement protocol, that put together, plus the support from the ballers and all the rest of the content. You're really getting an amazing deal. And that's one thing that I truthfully love about that whole package because it really is amazing. So when you go in to purchase Sexy Lady Balls at $57 a month, plus that bonus, which by the way, guys, we're at around the 7-minute mark right now. So just flagging you guys that we have just a little bit of time left, not very much. We're halfway there, so make sure you get in on this. So when you're done doing the $57 a month, you're going to get to another page, which is going to give you the option to upgrade. Again, you don't have to do it. There's no pressure whatsoever. You can just say, no, I'm good, thanks. Or you can be like, yes, I want it. You do it. And kits are mailed out every single Friday. And then we just send it out to you. So easy peasy lemon squeezy. So that's how that whole process works. Okay, we have a great question here that I want to get to, and this is from Gloria, and she goes, how long do I have to be in Sexy Lady Balls until I get results? This is a great question, and we get asked this a lot. So my answer to this is it depends on your commitment, and it depends on your level, or it depends on your, your condition, and it depends on your level of commitment. The two C's, I kind of say. So your condition, meaning that somebody who has, PMS may end up healing faster than, say, someone who's got endo, or who has fibroids, or who has adenomyosis. Like everybody's healing time is going to be different. So I just want to be able to flag that every individual is unique. So that's the first thing. The second thing is your commitment. Now, if you're going to put in only 25% of the effort and you're like, okay, I'm going to eat really healthy on, Mondays and Tuesdays because it's the start of the week. And then all of a sudden you're like, ugh, it's all right. I did really well on Monday and Tuesday. You're only going to get in so much benefit, when you're only putting in so much. So how much commitment are you putting in? If you go on Sexy Lady Balls on the site, when you actually click on that button, as time is running out right now, the one thing I will say to you is that you'll see a video testimonial. We've got loads of beautiful video testimonials. The one that you should take a look at, especially if you have PCOS, is Angela's. Angela is amazing because she's somebody who just like 100% committed. At day 37, she went to go get an ultrasound, and she says this in the video, that she had fibroids as well. So her doctor said that the fibroids had shrunk significantly. The size of her ovaries were now normal versus before in a previous transvaginal ultrasound, they were inflamed. And her cysts were gone. The doctor was shocked. They were gone. So that was huge. And so I'm not saying that in 37 days, if you got PCOS, you know what, it can be gone. Again, everyone is different, but I can say that Angela really gave this her all. She didn't let excuses get in her way. Some people, when they start a new plan, they get overwhelmed, and that's totally normal, and we're there to support you. But she was somebody who was like, I'm going to utilize these tools, and if I've got questions, I'm going to ask for help. But I can do this, and I deserve this because I need to put myself first. So definitely check that out. And with that said, if you are sitting on the fence and you're like, oh, I don't really know if this is for me, I'm going to tell you this because we've got roughly about 5 minutes on the clock or so before you can get into Sexy Lady Balls and get this. Number one, if you're sitting on the fence, one of the things I can tell you is that personally, when I have privately gone to somebody before in the past, or I have done other programs in the past, it was like, okay, I get a supplement protocol, and then I'll wait till my follow-up. And truthfully, the initial session and then the follow-ups, they're all pretty pricey. But the thing that I felt that was lacking was that level of support. I actually always felt very alone. Like, I knew my family, that they love me and they care about me, but the reality is they don't truthfully get what you're going through. Like, do you find that sometimes you're like, my family's amazing, but they don't really get it. So it kind of feels very isolating. And that's how I felt. And it's the reason why I created Sexy Lady Balls. Because even if you do get that hormone test kit, which again, you don't have to, but if you do, you're still getting the benefits of being in that group because you've already gone through purchasing the $57 a month Sexy Lady Balls, plus you've added now that option to upgrade. So the support is there. And that's what I feel is really lacking in this type of space, is that the support is so incredibly needed because it can be isolating when you're going through something that you just feel like nobody gets. And if you're anything like I used to be, where you're just at the end of your rope and you don't know how much more you can take, you're tired, you're exhausted, you're giving to everyone else except for yourself, and you're like, when is it going to be my time? Like, I feel so alone. When is it going to be my time? This is now your time. This is now your time to put yourself first. When I read this book called Half the Sky, it had said, if you educate one girl, and I'm paraphrasing here, if you educate one girl, she can really help to serve the world. So I take that quote and I think if you educate one woman, which to me is what I do in practice, is I educate, I empower, so that you guys are a part of your healing, not, away from it where you're like, I don't know what's going on, I'm so confused. No, you're a part of this. You're accountable for this. We work together. And that the second that you actually empower one woman, the amount of healing that she can not only do for herself, but that she can do for so many other people. Whatever your values are, whether that's you can go and kick butt even more so at your job. You can step up and feel like you've got more energy for your kids. You can have a better sex life. All these things can be there for you, but you got to take care and prioritize yourself. Because chances are you probably haven't done that. If you're anything like I used to be, you haven't done that. And that's something that I would strongly suggest to you is something that you need to do. And right now, you've got literally about a minute or two remaining. And I just want to let you know, don't let this opportunity pass you by. It is gone way too long that you've probably put yourself on the back burner. It's time to put yourself first. And if you're debating even on the hormone test kit, for example, you're like, oh, I really want to get that. I really want to fine tune my plan. Understand this. That price isn't even offered on my website. So if you don't get it right now, that price isn't even offered on my website. So if you go to sexyfoodtherapy.com, my regular website, and you go to the little tab that says work with me, you won't even find that price. I actually, on my website, only do a minimum commitment of 6 months and 9 months. So the packages are way more expensive. So if you're humming and hawing and you're like, ooh, I can get this package, and then I'll also get this support of all these ballers and all these materials and the option for the challenges. Remember, you get the Q&A coaching call, the topic-specific, the 4 Q&A coaching calls, the topic-specific coaching call, live cooking classes, recipes, bonus recipes, expert coaching calls, monthly prizes that you can win. I could go on. Yoga Nidra, it's all there, it's all there. So I just want to be able to thank you from the bottom of my heart being here. And I want to let you know what gift I'm going to give you that you guys are all going to get in your inbox for being here from the start to the end, which I totally value. I dig. Okay? Because right now we're pretty much up. We're pretty much done our timer here. So if you can squeak in while I'm going to say this last little bit, please do. So that gift is I'm going to send you via email 3 of my favorite recipes from Sexy Lady Balls that are to die for. So those are going to be sent to your inbox within 24 hours. So make sure that you not only check your inbox, but your spam, just in case it doesn't happen to appear in your inbox, because that can happen. Also, I'm going to be sending you a couple of tools in there as well for helping you to balance your hormones. So I hope that gift is something that you are going to enjoy as much as I have, making those recipes, because they're delicious, and those tools, which are super valuable, and all the tools that you got in this masterclass. I hope that you've enjoyed this time with me. I know that I have, and I really appreciate you being here, showing up, listening to me, and I hope that this has been a really, valuable time for you. In the meantime, I hope that you have joined Sexy Lady Balls. If you haven't, I hope to see you down the road. But in the meantime, big hugs and lots of love. Take care. Bye.